Right. I don't know if I've got a cold, but I'm
Hey everybody, welcome to Look Into the Glass. Today we have Dr. Stephen Paul Edwards, and we're just going to jump right in it because we've actually been talking for a little while like we normally do, but we're just going to jump right on in it, and he's got a story for us. So we're gonna story
all
time,
right. Let's
people.
go. Perfect. Sometimes the intro is the hardest part because people ask you, tell me about yourself. And you go, I can't. What? And you'd think by now I'd have like a standard thing I would say, but I don't. So let me tell you this story, which I think is powerful. It was for me, and so powerful I can remember it. Right? You know how much people tell stories and you can never remember them. I remember this story. I've never written it down, right? But I felt it so powerfully. Anyway, so this is going back, and I know we are. We're in a war or some kind of a war, or we're in a dispute with Iran right now, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, when the last time we had conflict with Iran, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Shah of Iran was forced out of Iran, and the Ayatollah Khomeini came in and took over.
Yes,
It was pretty violent, at one point.
very,
You remember,
very
right?
violent. We
Yeah.
actually had a podcast. We have an Iranian activist that came on a couple of times and told us the horrific things that
Yeah, that happened.
who was put in power did.
Yeah.
Like we're talking some horrific things to children. We're talking, I mean, we're what was it? To sell over, what was it, over 100,000 kids rolled up in carpets to clear landmines?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
no joke,
not
no
going down,
joke.
but it's terrible, and it's still happening to this day, right? We know that, right?
Yes, it is.
But what happened at the time, as you remember, they took over the American embassy, and they took hostages, right?
Hmm.
So they took these hostages, and they were, moving them around all the time because they knew the CIA were looking for them, right, and looking to capture them and whatever. So anyway, this gentleman, who this guy that this story is about, they would take him to a house. What do you call it? A safe house, whatever, where they didn't think they could be found, right? But when they took him to these houses, his captures. It was all men, right? So they would take him and they would put with these men, and the men would beat him because he was in America, whatever, whatever reason they made up, right? They beat him, but every 2 hours, ladies, they moved him.
Hmm.
The same thing happened every single time they moved him. He got beaten by men, right? So, as you know, in the end, the hostages were released, and he came home. But he was traumatized, obviously, right? I mean, how could you not be, right? And so he got this phobia towards men, right? And every night he had these nightmares about what had happened, right? And one day he's talking to his friend. He goes, "Man, I can't sleep. I haven't slept in a year. I mean, really, I haven't slept in a year. I don't know what to do. I can't get rid of these nightmares." So his friend said, "But let me tell you a secret. Until you find a way to use that trauma to help other people, the nightmares will never go away." So the man, he kind of went, how you do when you hear things like that, whatever, right? Anyway, so he didn't do anything, and a year later, he was still in the same situation, and he saw his friend again, and he told the friend again, and the friend said, "Well, did you figure something out?" And he goes, "No, I didn't." He said, "Well, I've given you the answer. It's up to you now to figure out how you can help people through this trauma because of having this trauma." So he was he loved horses. So he built a ranch for, because he had this problem with men. So he built a ranch where young men could come and he could help them heal their anger towards their fathers, and using the horses as a centerpiece for it. And when he finished building it, guess what happened?
Stop nightmares.
No more nightmares.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I still get nightmares. I still have some issues. Like we were talking early before we started, I've got, right now I've got pressure on my brain that it is hitting certain spots, and sometimes if I don't do things correctly, get enough water in me, if I get too much sugar in me, too much caffeine, those things make the brain swell, and it will cause episodes with me. But that, and a lot of them, like not too long ago, I had a PTSD episode, and it was bad. It was really one that I haven't had in many years, and it really set me back. But I was came on here and I told people, look, just because we run a mental health podcast doesn't mean we're immune to the issues. I run a mental health podcast because I've been abused, because I've been beaten, because I've been slandered, because I've been fought in tooth and nail to get where we are. Both Jeselle and I have, we went through the same, we were talking about it the other day, and it was a little bit more kind of like we're more like sisters because we endured the hardest parts together. The hardest parts of the abuse, we kind of endured it together. But
and here's the
that's when you
here's the thing. I just want to say this, right? When people tell stories, it's an abbreviation of what really happened, right?
Oh yeah.
I
absolutely.
doubt that the next day the nightmares went away. It was a process, obviously, right?
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't the night, it just makes the story sound better, doesn't it? But anyway, the point is, I went through trauma in the book, right? All the crazy crap that happened, and I laugh about it now, but I wasn't laughing at the time, right?
No.
I'm still going through the process of learning all the lessons that were in there. I don't have it down, not even close, right? But the fact that, and you guys know this, the fact that you are willing to look at yourselves and each other and go through this process really in front of the world, right? Like you said, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going through it. Sometimes people say, wow, you went through a lot. You must be, they don't say this now, you must be great now. And I go, listen, I'm still going through this shit, right? I'm still figuring things out and seeing things that I hadn't seen before and doing things.
It's called these little things, rose-colored glasses coming off, and then you start to see things and you're like, what the hell? Wait a minute.
And we're human. We're freaking human. Like I'm just telling it happens for you, not to you. And I'm fighting the freaking the curtains and the freaking stands, and I'm ready to throw one through the window, and I'm going, fuck, right? My neighbor's probably being killed, or I was killing somebody, right? So, we're working our way out of victimness, but sometimes we are, and it's okay, right? Sometimes you can say, that shit happened to me for sure, right? But later on down the road, you're probably going to go, okay, something happened that helped me because of it, and now I'm ready to look at it. 2 days ago, I just wanted to kill somebody. You know what I mean? That's human, right? We can't not be human. We can't not embrace our humanness, right? I tell that story in the book. I don't know if you remember this, right? When we were arguing, as usual. And she'd gone off on a binge somewhere, God knows where. She stole one of my cars again. I don't no idea where she was. So but I had to go to my speaking event, right? So I had to leave. I'm leaving on a jet plane, whatever. So I had to leave. And of course, she knows when I'm leaving and when I'm coming back because she knows my schedule, right? So I leave on a Thursday. She knows I'm gone. On Friday night, she comes back to the house. Now, she was living with me most of the time, but she also had her own place. So she could have gone to her own place, but she decided to come to my place because it's a mansion, right? What are you going to do, right?
We wanted to discuss the house.
Okay,
in the book. We wanted to discuss the house.
You're going to get into it. You're going to like this story, right? She gets back there, and I don't usually put the alarm on, right? But for whatever reason, I put the alarm on, right? Maybe I had some kind of psychic decide what was going to happen. Anyway,
intuition.
So she gets to the house. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and of course, putting the alarm on is a waste of time. She's getting in one way or the other, right? So she smashes in and sets off the alarm, right? So just around this time, there'd been an issue with the police department, right? That apparently there'd been something went on in the, I don't know what it was, someone got broke, I don't know. But the police had been slow to react, right? So the manager, the director of the community, called up the police chief and she reamed him out. Listen, we pay all these taxes, you should be coming out to us quicker and all this stuff, right? Which of course, the police chief's not happy about that, right? So anyway, now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. This alarm goes off at the police station and this police chief says to himself, okay, let me show you how hot and heavy we can come out, right? To make a point. So he sends out 6 squad cars, 2 SUVs, 4 police dogs. I mean, talk about overkill, right? So they all come out, and of course they've all got the lights on. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. The area is lit up like a Christmas tree. Dogs are running through the gardens, barking. People thought World War III had broken out, right? So then, and of course they know us, right? I mean, you've read some of the book, right? They've been out to the house.
We read some of the book. We didn't get to finish the entire book, but we read some of the book,
Well,
and
that's
we
fine,
understand that there was a volatile relationship there.
Well, most haven't heard this, right? So we're living in this mansion. It's got a sex room in it. It's great, but there's a lot of madness and mayhem, right? So the police have been out there a number of times. I mean, they had us on speed dial. And I actually said at one point, they should actually build a police station in the community. It would save a lot of time. Anyway, here's my point. They called me and said, look, she's here, right? I went, oh, no, right? Oh, my God, right? So I said, but listen, under no circumstances let her in that house because she's very vengeful, right? And I'm thinking only that what she would do in there would not be good, right? So he said, well, I'll call you back, all right? So I have to wait and wait and wait. And he calls me back. He goes, listen, I just talked to the police chief, and he says we got to let her in. I go, what? He goes, well, she's here all the time anyway. We know you're kind of living together. We got to let her in. I go, oh, no. So now I'm 3,000 miles away, and I've got to think for 3 days, what is she going to do to that house while I'm gone, right? So when I come back, and of course, she's nowhere to be seen, right? I walk in the house, and I look around. Everything's fine. I'm like, what? There's no way. So I go in the kitchen, and I put the kettle on, right? Have some tea. I go out of the kitchen, I come back. The kettle's not even boiling. So I go over and I flick the switch for the kettle. It's not turning on. So I look behind the kettle and she snipped the wire. Now, you guys are thinking the same thing that I did. That's not the only thing that she snipped the wire to, right?
No.
She'd done it to every electrical appliance in the house, but you wouldn't know unless you tried to turn it on. Everything looked great. Everything looked fine. Oh, my God. So then I sit down and I go, yeah, you know what? And I know we're not finished yet, right? What else has she done? So when I was a kid, and I write about this in the book, my mom used to send me to school in school clothes that were just way too big for me, right? And of course, you know how kids are, right? If you look like, if you look stupid, they're going to tell you you're stupid, right?
Yeah, they're not exactly nice about it.
I get clothes that fit me. She goes, you'll grow into them, right? But we didn't have any money, right? So she was thinking ahead, right? Anyway, the point is, I got tormented, not just by the other kids, but also by the teachers, I'd be walking across the playground, and the teacher would call me over. Edwards, come here. Yes, sir. What are you wearing? I go, I don't know, sir. Right? Anyway, so I got this trauma. So I had to get out of the pain. So what I did is I figured out a way to make some money so I could buy my own school clothes, right? So from then on, clothes became very important to me, right? It was part of my identity. I wanted to wear the nicest clothes so nobody could laugh at me anymore, right? It was a way to get out of pain. So here I am now living in this mansion. I'm making millions of dollars a year. So I figure, obviously, I'm going to have a nice wardrobe of clothes, right? To die for. So now you've got it, right? I'm going, oh, my God, no, please, right? So I go to the closet, and again, everything looks fine. So I walk in the closet, I pull back the clothes, and she's cut them all to shreds, right? I mean, now, you know what I was just saying a minute ago about how I have this belief that everything happens for you, nothing happens to you. I did not believe that in that moment. I was fucking angry, right? I said I didn't want to hurt her, but I did want to kill her, right? So
Yeah.
I was so angry, right? And I don't know if I cried, but if I had, I wouldn't blame myself. Anyway, but I didn't get it in the moment. I didn't say, this happened to me. And sometimes that might take months or years to come to that realization. As many things that happened to me in my childhood, I didn't figure out how that happened for me for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? That's how it go, right? It's not going to be in the immediacy. But in this situation, I finally calmed down, right? Not that night, like sometime later the next day, or it might have been the day after, I don't know. But at some
days for me, I guarantee.
It probably was. So I sat down in an armchair and I'm kind of looking I'm exhausted at this point, right? I just stressed myself out about the whole thing, right? So I'm looking out the window and I go, okay, this happened for me. This is going to be good. Explain this to me. I'm having a conversation with myself as I always do all the time.
Those
right?
wonderful, wonderful
Like you
conversations
said, we're
you have with
crazy.
yourself.
But I do argue with myself. I do argue with myself. Anyway, so
No, we do too.
Yeah. At one point, I go, okay. Well, I mean, it's only clothes, right? I mean, you can replace clothes, right? Mm-hmm. But your brain goes, bullshit. Those were nice clothes, right? So,
That's a lot of money.
That's why it happened for me, right? So finally, and again, it could have been a couple of days later, I don't know, but finally, the light bulb went on. And I said, attachment. I was attached to those clothes. Now, there's nothing wrong with having nice clothes, but when you're attached to them, what that means is it's become part of your identity. Part of who you think you are. And that's dangerous. And so she helped me come to that realization. I'm not those clothes, right? And I've been attached to them and I hadn't even realized it. Now, it didn't end there. It snowballed. Because then I had to ask myself, what else am I attached to that I haven't realized? What else do I think is part of my identity? Is it this house? Is it my cars? Probably the sex room, but I'm not letting that go. So anyway.
I don't blame you on that one.
No matter what. Anyway. So it snowballed from there. But here's another a part of it is, if she hadn't helped me come to that realization, I mean, did she intend to do that to me? Probably. But it ended up being for me. But here's the thing. If I hadn't have had that realization, I would still be angry at her for that to this day. Do you know what I mean? There would have still been resentment.
Yeah.
There would have still been pain, right? And so I say, listen, you got a choice. You can decide it happened to you, but then you got a wound, right? You got a wound. Or you could say it happened for me, and you might not get it in the moment. It might take a while, but you'll get it. And then you're wiser. You're wiser, right? And that's
Just
the choice.
by changing up the question.
Yeah, exactly. Just by change. That's exactly
Just
right.
by changing it, making one little change, by changing the question, in that right there alone is a huge thing.
Changing your point of view.
Yeah,
Yes.
Exactly, a new point of view. And that's how powerful a question can be. You're exactly right, ladies.
That's actually how I grew up. Was I always looked at other people's point of views. Yeah, I was going through all of this BS and facing, a lot of trauma, but I always looked at the other point of views that didn't allow me to create a resentment towards anybody. I actually took a page from you last time we spoke. You told me about your healing process with your father, and I kind of did the same thing. I finally, I wrote a letter to him. Yeah. I wrote a letter to him. Yeah. And, and I was so scared on how he was going to react. I was so scared on, the relationship was going, but I just didn't feel like I was missing something out of it. And so I was just so scared it was going to just blow up in my face and was going to demolish, and I was just not going to be there anymore. And I was like, is this wrong of me to put this out there? And then we had another guest that came on, and so, kind of did the same thing. She told her father, how she felt, and then she's like, it was up to him to go from that point. And
Yeah.
so, and that kept telling, this just kept coming back to me. I did this on my birthday. So this was just a few days ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, this was just a few days ago. So I was like, this is going to be scary. We
It
spent,
is scary.
yeah, I did dinner with them and everything. And before I left, I handed it to him, and he asked me what it was, and I just said it's my part of my healing process. And he was
Mhm.
like, okay, do I need to be worried? And I was like, no, yeah, there's no reason to be worried. And I bawled to my husband on the way home. He was like, that was the bravest thing you could ever do. And he's like, you have cojones.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so courageous, and courage. People misconstrue courage. Courage is not the lack of fear. It's that you're afraid and you do it anyway, right?
Anyways.
And I remember,
Yes.
I remember putting those letters. I did two letters, one to my mom and one to my dad. So one wasn't waiting for the other one to finish, right? So I put them, and I tell you, ladies, when I put them in, I remember dropping them in the mailbox, and I thought I might never hear from them again. Sometimes you have to risk everything to get it all, right? So
That
proud of you,
is
proud of you.
such a
That's a
true
really
statement right
courageous
there.
thing you did there. Awesome.
Well, I'm on this healing journey. I have a really well repaired relationship with my mom, and and seeing it blossom and the way it's going, and with how recently we've talked about how we feel like sisters, it feels like more like a sisterhood between us than anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means a lot to me. And so I was just like, I have to just hand this over. I can't carry this weight anymore. I've carried this weight for
Yeah.
29 years. I can't keep carrying it anymore. So
Right.
it was so liberating though. And then he responded to me almost not even an hour later. And it was a response that I was hoping for. And it was, we'll talk about it. I understand. And it was very brave of you. He even like you mentioned how brave he was, and you know that
Yeah.
you know that was a lot. That
He even
meant a lot.
recognized.
Yeah, recognizing, and then not only that, but how quick he was to read it, and
Oh.
and that it was important to him too, and that made me feel very important. So I feel very proud, and I am so thankful for you mentioning that, because a father's impact is a big impact too, just as much as a mother's impact.
Yeah, especially on a girl. Especially
Exactly.
on a, it's like mothers and sons and fathers and daughters, right? I mean, they're
Mm-hmm.
both impactful. They're both very impactful. But mother, son, father, daughter, so important. And so it's going to be interesting to see, because this healing is going to ripple, right? You know that, right? There's going to be so many things that happen. But the beauty of it is that he responded right away.
Hmm.
And I know what that tells you, because what happened for me when I put that letter in the mail. Of course, it's going to England, right? So it's not that's not going to be overnight, right? And so, you know, I thought if anybody calls me, it'll be my mom, right? But it wasn't. It was my dad.
How
And
did
the
that
fact
feel?
that oh my God, I'm glad you asked, right? So what happened was I got his message. It was on my voicemail, right? And so in my house, right back then, I was doing counseling. So my living room was my waiting room. Right? So I had all these little chairs. I had all
You're
these little,
not the first therapist that we've seen to do that.
these little chairs up against the wall, right? So when I got the phone, I was standing in front of one of the chairs, listening to the voicemail. And when I heard his voice, I fainted.
No.
And I fell back onto one of the chairs. What a miracle. There was a freaking chair there, right? I could have been in the
Yeah.
bathroom and hit my head against the bath, right? So that was amazing. So how did I feel? Well, I'll tell you. I felt like for the first time in my life, I knew my father loved me. How crazy is that, right? I can
Exactly
still
how I
feel it.
felt.
Exactly, right? That's what I was going to say. You probably felt that he loved you, right? And that is an absolutely overwhelming feeling, right? It's totally overwhelming, but in a good way, right? In a
Oh
great
yeah,
way.
it's all those years spent feeling like they were ashamed or not proud or didn't love you. All those years of you And a lot of it's you embedding that in your head. It was just behaviors from the outside source that made you have those voices. And then you're going, well, now I kind of feel stupid feeling that way. But at the same time, you're going, no, thank God.
Parents is that we don't know this as children, but what they're really doing is projecting their trauma onto you, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And something like that happens, it's a lot easier to put into context, right? And it's a lot easier to take on the belief, well, we're all doing the best we can with the resources we have. However, when you don't feel loved, it's like, fuck that, I feel really hurt, right?
Yeah.
Which is normal, right? And I know you guys have gone through that in your relationship, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. You can rationalize it all you want, and you're going through this, but there's pain there. There's so much pain, so much hurt that has to be released, and you can't do that right away. It's like grief, right? You
Yes,
lose
it is exactly like grief.
someone comes up to you the next day and says, well, they've gone to a better place. It's like, fuck you, right? I've got to have the time to release energy and to come to terms with the fact that I'm not ever going to see them on earth again. And that's grief. It's tough, right?
Yeah, well,
and we all a different way. Yeah.
In a way, you're grieving the relationship that you could have had, or that that might have been possible. Or there's a lot of ways that you're still technically grieving in a different way, because you feel like that relationship is dead, or died, or it's never going to happen.
Yeah, so true, true. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I don't know if we talked about this last time. Here's the thing. Everybody has trauma worse than yours in their mind, right? But you can't measure it. Trauma's trauma, right? It could have been that someone said no and you can freak out, right? But the point is, it's trauma to you. You guys have both said that. It's your perception of what happened, right? Or the meaning you gave it. So for me as a kid, I felt like I was very controlled. So I'll give you an example here, right? It doesn't seem that big, but it gives you an idea and a sense of what can happen. How constrained I felt, right? Not free as you should as a child, but for example, I don't know if you know this or not, but in England, every so often, the ice cream van would come down the street. Mm-hmm. And it would play its music, right? To let the kids know the ice cream truck was there, and all the kids came running down the street. How no one got run over, I don't know. But anyway, they get to the back of the ice cream van and giving out these ice creams. And I think we were walking home from being somewhere. And of course, I want to go get an ice cream. But my parents would say, you don't want an ice cream, do you, Stephen? Do you see how manipulative that is? You'd have to argue.
That's so manipulative.
Do you know what I mean? And so you'd say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then gaslighting all the time.
I was just say, what a gaslighting way to dim a child's light.
Yeah, exactly. Beautifully put, Sel. Beautifully put, to dim a child's life. And so, what it did is suppressed my emotions because I couldn't say anything, right? I didn't have a voice, right? And so all the suppressed, let's face it, anger, right? All that suppressed anger becomes depression, because depression is suppressed anger, right? I used to have to, when I went to bed at night, I used to have to bang my head on the pillow until I fell asleep exhausted. It was the only way I could get to sleep. And that's probably got something to do with why when I was 16, I was put in a mental asylum, right? So, but all this trauma ended up being a blessing. Mm-hmm. Now, you couldn't have told me that as a kid, right? I'm like, what the fuck, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't go back to being a kid for nothing. When people go, I wish I could go back to being a kid. No, I wouldn't go back to being a kid. There's never been a point in my life where I have ever went, I wish I was a kid again. Nope, not this person.
You know what? I wouldn't want to go back at any age, to be honest with you. It might sound weird. People say, well, you sure you wouldn't want to be 30 or 20? I go, yeah, for sure. Right?
Right?
I'm really comfortable. For the first time in my life, I'm comfortable with being who I am. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go back to those years when I was always stressed, when I never felt I was good enough. I was in and out of relationships and other trauma that I was repeating from my childhood because I didn't realize it, right? I didn't realize those patterns kept repeating themselves. It was a very tough time, right? It was very difficult. And, you know, people say, well, you were successful. I'm like, well, let me tell you why, right? Because I was so driven not to have to go back. Initially, it's because I wanted to run away from home. That's what started it. The thing is, I never stopped running, right? So initially I wanted to run away from home, then I got away from home, and then I just kept running. But what was I really running away from?
My trauma.
My trauma. Because I was too afraid to face it, right? You know,
That's what I think we all do. I think we all go through that, because I know that, you know, I watched my mom, I watched me, and multiple other people bounce around from place to place to place. I'm not going to put anybody's name out there, but I have a friend that's bounced around from state to state to state, trying to find peace because he's trying to quit. He's trying to quit doing stuff, and that fracture that you're trying to fill with substances, you know, really comes really loud when you stop doing those substances, and everything that you have jammed into that fracture, because that fracture is being created, you're not born with it, it's created. And, you know, and I just, you know, it's really been watching that person. Bless you.
Excuse me, goodness gracious.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Sneezing.
First it's the rod, now it's your sinuses.
That's right. I think I'd rather fight the rods.
But, you know, watching, I can't remember what my whole point of that was. Brain tumor, guys. But there is a point.
Right, that this person is going through this trauma and repeating it, right? And they're trying
And
to get
just repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And even though, like, that person was here at my house for quite some time while I was going through my things, and I would sit there, and him and I have been very close. We roommated together before, you know, been very, very close, kind of like a brother. And, but just kind of watching this person, the second the chaos stopped, you could watch the wheels and the uncomfortableness because he's so used to chaos. But once that peace settled in and the chaos stopped, you can watch him become uncomfortable. It was like you can almost physically see it, and it was like, wow, I really see a lot of that now. You know, I mean, it was helpful for me, not very helpful for him, unfortunately, but it was very helpful for me to be able to see somebody else in that place where I was like, huh, okay, and I was able to identify it within me too at the same time.
Beautiful.
Well,
I was listening to an interview this morning. I don't know whether you've seen. I don't know if you guys watch podcasts or not, but I like this one. It's called The Diary of a CEO. It's Stephen Bartlett, right? And he was interviewing a young guy that was just in the news recently for a negative reason, but he's a very well-known. He is very well-known, but he was a UFC fighter, right? A martial art. What do you call it? Ultimate. I don't know, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know.
The Ultimate Fighter thing.
Yeah, there you go. And he was a world champion in his, you know, weight class, whatever. And I watched him a few times, but he was always, what can I say? He was always a good ambassador for the sport, right? He never seemed to get crazy like some of them do. He's married, he had a child, and he was all doing it all for his family. Anyway, a few weeks ago, he's going to work, right? He's not a fighter anymore. He retired, right? So, and he's trying to find his way, and he just can't figure it out, right? Because he spent 20 years waking up every day to go work out to be the best fighter he could be, right? And now he doesn't have that anymore. So it was Father's Day, and he got drunk, right? And he went to the airport, and he started to pick a fight. He started to pick a fight with the person, the gate person, you know what I mean, that's at the gate. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, he's a, you know, world famous freaking UFC fighter, but he starts picking a fight with the guy. Anyway, the police come along. He didn't hit the guy, he didn't fight with him, but he was being threatening. He got arrested, right? And then, of course, he became national headlines, right, about this guy. So he went on the show, you know, and was very frank, and he said, look, Totally wrong, and I'm not making any excuses for it. You know, my wife nearly left me. We just had my sons, and I've got my daughter and my son, and I love spending time with them. But I lost myself because I lost my purpose. And now I have no meaning. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm lost. Do you know what I mean? And it was Father's Day, and I'm not making this as the excuse, but it was Father's Day. My father was an alcoholic, right? And I suffered a very abusive childhood. And right now, my father is living on the street. And we've all tried to help him, but you can only help people who want to be helped.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he's run my life through the mud, right? Because of trying to do that and save him. And I just said, I can't do it anymore, you know? And he's tearing my life down. But it doesn't mean I don't care. You know, so I was going through a lot of stuff. But to me, again, it's like, listen, we all make mistakes. We all fall down, right?
Yeah.
But at least he's willing to own it.
Yeah. The accountability there is great. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
because
And
in this whole healing process and healing journey, accountability, I know for me personally, has been one of the biggest things, is taking accountability for the things that I have done, and then also understanding that the biggest thing that I like to do is I like to take other people's crap on. That's what I love to do for some odd reason. You know, there was not enough ham to make 2 sandwiches.
We need to stop that immediately.
I do. You're right.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it, yeah. But it's easy to, but do you know who else has done that all his life?
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
Literally, like, there's not enough ham in the fridge and for 2 sandwiches, and nothing said, nothing abusive being done, but immediately that little child inside of me got scared and ran. And I had to come into my office and close my door and sit here with it and go, why?
Yeah.
Why? And it's literally because my parents. You know, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Dad. But that's the truth.
Yeah.
It is the life that I have lived. It is growing up with the alcoholic, growing up with being called Miss Piggy, growing up being told that I was nasty because I had caught lice. You know, those kinds of situations really make a person really take things on. And I've noticed, like, through my therapy, and I mean, I'm hitting therapy hard right now. I'm hitting therapy so hard. It is one of the things that I love. It's hard, it's tough, but I love it. I absolutely love it because it really helps me get an understanding of me.
Yeah.
And it helps me understand that, you know, yeah, I might be going crazy up in here, or there, you know, I might have an episode, a PTSD episode, flashback episode, but she's like, we can work with this. We just need to reframe, you know?
Yeah.
But I forgot my whole point on that one too, guys.
You made the point, right? You made the point that you've been through these things, and now you are facing it. You're facing the pain. It's not a person, right? It's facing the pain.
Pain, yes. It is not a person. You are so correct.
Yeah.
It is not just one person. It is not just one incident. It is so many of them. And the way I explained it with my therapist, I was like, you know, right now, I feel like I have this giant, you know, when you just throw necklaces in a jewelry box, or you just throw things in a jewelry box, witty nitty, you know, and then you go and you go to put on your favorite necklace. Well, now what you have to do is you have to untangle it from everything.
Hate that.
And I was like, that's where I'm at, is I'm literally untangling myself from everybody else's abuses, and whether they know they're doing it or not, you know.
They may not know, but it is happening anyway.
A lot of the times we don't understand when we're being abusive. We don't understand it because we're just running off of the pre software. You know?
Yeah. It's all patterns, isn't it? It's all patterns.
It is.
We can't see it. We cannot see it,
No.
But once you start taking these things off and you start seeing them, then you can start really, really working on them. And I have to tell you, the best thing that I have ever done in my entire life is work on me. The things that has made me the happiest out of my entire life is to work on me.
Yeah.
To go inside me and start working and sitting in the shit pool that I have of emotions at certain times, and sit there and I literally actually visualize it too, is me sitting there and untangling my favorite necklace, whatever necklace that is inside of that jewelry box. I don't know which one it is, but I have one, and that one is me. And I've just been really and I've explained, that was one of the best ways I can explain it, is you have all this stuff jumbled up inside of here, and you literally just kind of have to like pull it apart slowly and gently so you don't break any chains, so that you're not breaking any, well, I mean, you do need to break chains. If you've got family trauma, you got chains to break. But yeah, that's where I've been at. It's just that jewelry box, just trying to find that one necklace that I'm trying to, untangle from everything.
Yeah, it's a beautiful metaphor. That's a great metaphor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I understand it.
All right, so you said you wanted to ask me something, Jeselle. What did you want to ask me? Something about the sex room, the house, or what was it?
Oh, it's the house.
Oh,
And the sex room. Screw it, and the sex room, man. If we're going to start talking about the house, make sure you give those details too.
Absolutely. So, what did you want to know? What do you want to know?
We were just really jealous about the house. We were reading like the whole section about the house, and we're like, okay, this is a whole dream in one. Plus, I really have to admit, the way you write this book, I read a couple more chapters of it. The way you write this book is really awesome. I like how you interact with your reader. You are literally interacting with your reader, and I love it. Not very many people write that way.
Well, it's kind of how I talk, right? It's like, we're talking now, and we're friends, and I'm, it's like if you were
that is exactly how it was with reading the book.
I'd say, look at this, right? And then I'm in the argument with Tamaz, and I'm going, can you hear her? Can you hear this bitch? Saying, listen, you're not any better right now because you've done this. And I'm what?
Yeah, we're all a little crazy, so shut the fuck up.
And I say in the
leave me alone. I'm here to have a human experience, and I was having it.
I say in the book a couple of times ago, listen, you probably think I should have broken up with you, don't you? Well, listen, if I had, you wouldn't be enjoying this freaking story now, would you?
I love it. It was just like there's so many different points where you're like, well, that's what I should have done.
But for our listeners,
we don't always do what we should do we? Sometimes we end up shitting all over ourselves, right?
Yep.
Anyway, so the house, it was my dream home. I mean, I knew when I walked in there, I gotta have this, right? And for whatever reason, usually, and from all I can remember, if I've ever decided I really have to have something, I'm going to find a way, right? And so that was a story on its own. But I don't know if I mentioned this in the book. The other thing that was miraculous about it, ladies, is that it came fully furnished. I didn't have to buy a stick of furniture. It came furnished with all the amazing furniture because it was all made for the house.
Yeah.
It was all specifically made for the house. And it was just divine, it was just divine. And
you just literally just had to walk in with your clothes.
I had to walk in with my clothes. That was it. Yeah.
Wow.
And if you would like, I can actually send you a video of the house if you want to really see it. It's just incredible.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I look at it and it's just like, oh my God, it was it was just beautiful.
Let us live our dreams a little bit.
Now, I did not film the sex room for reasons that
that's
are
understandable.
Understand.
But it was a fabulous room as well, and we had a really good time with that. In fact, I've had a sex room or some form of a sex room throughout most of my life, right? So, I mean, some of them weren't really a section, it was just, stuff in the bedroom. But the point is, that's always been an important part of my life, you know.
You did
And I
explain the
think
reasons in the book. I did read that part.
when I was a kid, everyone told me I had a small dick. So I was a little bit, I overcompensated, right?
I love how straightforward you just said that.
He's
I
very
love it.
straightforward in the book too, and I'm like, this is great.
Hey, listen,
I love it.
this happened in the showers, and it was trauma. It was, obviously, I mean, I'm laughing at it now, but as a kid,
As a
everyone,
kid,
I was the kid with the small dick.
yeah.
But eventually, and not at the time, but eventually, when I did grow up and get into, intimate relationships, sexual relationships, I became really good at it, right? Because it's like, I have to find a way to pleasure my partner, and I have to be damn good at it, and I got to make sure I blow her mind, right? So that I don't let her down, don't let myself down. So it became very voyeuristic. I didn't really care about my own pleasure. What turned me on was giving my partner pleasure. That to me was better than getting an orgasm, right? It was so important to me. And so I felt really good about myself when I could do that. Yeah.
And that right there, and then that stems from a lot of traumas too, because that's something that I'm diving into, the mental state and the traumas and all of that. I've been doing a deep dive into a woman who has faced traumas and how the man handles that woman, even whether she's neurodivergent or she's, facing traumas, and so she's not quite neurodivergent, but is borderline there. But there's but how to surrender and those kinds of things, like it's like the sub and dom relationships and stuff like that, that it's not just a sexual thing, but it's also the connection to another human being, because we are, as humans who have faced tremendous traumas, especially us women, both of us have faced sexual traumas. It's really hard
Multiple
for
different
us.
times.
It's really hard for us to connect on that level, because that's something we hold sacred.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a tough one, right? There's no easy way out, like you guys know, right? Like sending that letter was not an easy thing to do, right? It was very, very scary. So one of the other things that is scary for us all, but I would say, I don't have any statistics on this, maybe it's just a belief, but I feel like it's even more scary for a woman to be vulnerable than it is a man. Everyone talks about men are not vulnerable, but it's scary because you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know if they're going to make that vulnerability sacred. They're going to tell other people, which was never meant to happen, right? And so there's a tremendous amount of trust in that, right? So people say, well, how do I resolve that? And I say, well, this is my thought on it. Just like it when I sent that letter to my parents, I rationalized it in my head. Here's what I said was, well, I don't have a relationship with them now anyway. It's not a relationship where we really communicate. It's so surface, right? And so in a way, I have nothing to lose and, everything to gain, because if they don't respond to me and never speak to me again, it's not really going to be that much different than it is now anyway, right?
It's surface level. Is surface level like you just talking to the guy in the grocery store?
Yeah.
Exactly. That kind of surface level, just so people understand the level of surface that we're talking about. Is like you just bumped into the neighbor or somebody at the at the school, at your local school, at the grocery store. That kind of surface level. At least that's the way it was with me and my father.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So with this situation with vulnerability, if you can't be vulnerable with your partner, you have no relationship anyway. You really don't, because what does it take to be vulnerable? It takes trust.
Yes,
and
tremendous.
If you don't trust your partner, you have no relationship, right? So you have nothing to lose. Now, could they actually use your vulnerability against you? 100%. Then you got to say, but is that someone I want to spend the rest of my life with? You know what I mean?
And at least you're being shown if you do, when you are.
Sooner
you're
better than
not spending
right?
more time, more years wasted down the line going, oh, well, now I have 10 years into this
Right.
marriage that
Could have
we're,
done that years ago, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So here's the thing. And a lot of people think that intimacy is something you have in the bedroom. It isn't.
Mm.
Intimacy is sharing your most vulnerable secrets with your partner.
Yeah.
Why? Because it takes so much trust. They if they're a good person that you want to be with, they are going to hold that trust sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Never tell anything else, and feel, wow, she trusted me with her deepest, darkest secrets. How does that make me feel? It makes me feel she trusts me at the deepest level, and I will never betray that trust, right? I will hold it sacred. And what does that give you? Intimacy.
Yes.
Intimacy. So when you're in the bedroom, you have the trust in each other to be the sexual person that you are, without shame, without fear. And so, you can really let it loose then, right? And it's great, because that's what we want to do, right? We want to have that ability, that trust to be the animalistic person we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have no fear. The other person's going to start talking to other people about it, right? And you see this all the time. You hear it. And people say, "Oh, is she good in bed?" And the people who never do that, right? That's nothing to do with anybody else, right? That's your sacred space that you have with your partner. And you got to think, hey, at any time you're sharing something about a partner, you got to imagine they're right there with you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And never, ever, ever tear them down to anybody else. You always support each other. Doesn't mean in privacy you might say, well, listen, I didn't really agree with what you did there, right? But I would never say that to anybody, because we're a team, we're a unit, right? And we always support each other. But I would prefer, next time, blah blah blah, that you didn't do that. And because you've got that kind of relationship, they're going to go, yeah, I'm sorry, it won't happen. And great, and you move on. But you don't punish. I mean, and you've seen this, guys. People get angry, resentful at their partner, and they vent with their friends. And the kind of friends that are going to listen to that are not your friends. They're not your friends. They're looking for cracks in your energy. They're looking for cracks in your relationship, and they suddenly feel better. Oh, their relationship's no good either, because theirs on. And the reason theirs on is because they don't hold it sacred. They don't hold that sacred space, right? Anyway, just a thought.
No,
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That there is no more sacred space than between a man and a woman in a relationship. There is no more sacred space other than between you and God.
Yeah. Yes, of course. And you need that, and you need that relationship with your Creator to have that with your partner.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, because if you don't have that relationship, then you're always going to be afraid of being abandoned. But God's never going to abandon you. God is never going to abandon you. So even if this relationship does end for whatever reason, you're not alone. You're never alone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of hit home.
Yeah, why do you think I'm smiling over here?
Yeah.
You have, there's so much that we could talk about, and I love,
Right?
I just love the way you explain things, the way you talk about things, and how open you are. It's refreshing because, I'm an open book. I'll talk about anything. Nothing's off the books for me, especially now that I'm coming further into this healing journey. I turned 29 and I was like, I can't wait to be 30. Death to my 20s. I am done with this shit.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done with this shit because I'm ready to keep on this healing journey, but be done with the healing where it's spending 3 days crying because I wrote a letter.
Yeah, right. Not because you were necessarily you know, you were crying because it's such a release.
It was.
That weight. You've written the
Yes.
freaking letter, man, and you let it go. And whatever happens now is fine.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that I got my voice
Mm-hmm.
and I said
That right
Right.
there. I got my freaking voice. She
Yeah.
got her voice because she has been muffled for far too long.
muffled or even muzzled, right? But I love that. Yeah.
Muffled, either way you want to look at it. Some people
Yeah.
like muzzles. So
I like it too. I like muffled. I like that much better.
I was
yeah,
gonna say,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I've muzzled myself for many years because I'm always thinking of how other people are gonna feel if I come out about it, or if how is it going to affect everybody else, even though it's affecting me and my mental health and my stability. And so I always think about how is it going to affect everybody else. Well, now I finally hit. I don't really give a shit on how it's going to affect everybody. This
Gotta be
matters for
focused.
me. This podcast
Absolutely.
is everything
Yeah.
to me. It's my healing. It's I'm going to help somebody out there get through their shit. They're going to go, damn, she did it. I can do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Did you ever used to feel like sometimes that you thought of everybody else first, but no one thought about you?
Yep.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, does that hit home? For
Yeah.
the longest.
I know I did too, but here's the thing. Women are better at this than men. Let me tell you what I mean. I think, and I might be wrong about this, but I feel like, I mean, seeing this in so many different areas of my family and the people I know, is that women are very nurturing, right? They love to take care of everybody. That's a good thing, right? But you can overdo it, right? So give me an example, right? I see this happening a lot, right? So the women are doing everything, right, in the house and taking care of everybody. And a guy will come in and say, hey, you need any help? And you go, no, we got it. You go sit down and watch TV, right? And then the women are in the kitchen going, you know what? They never do anything to help. It's because you trained them not to, right? You trained
Yes.
them to.
Yes.
But what you really mean when you say, no, it's okay, we got anything, you don't really mean that. You just mean, I don't want to put you out, but if you really wanted to help, just fucking help, right? Just come in.
Just shut up and help. Come in and
Just
ask.
grab
Don't
something
ask.
and do something.
So they're as bad, aren't they, really? Because they know you're going to say no, right? They just are asking for permission to go watch football, right? You know what I
Yes.
mean? Or whatever it is, right? But what they really should do is come in and say, or come in and not even say anything, just start helping, right? If it's put the trash out, start washing the dishes, clean up. It doesn't matter because that will feel good because you didn't have to ask.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. As someone who came into a relationship and was like, I'm the woman, I take care of all of the children, and we had 6 children between the two of us. I do all of the cleaning, I do all of the laundry, I do all of the outside work, I do, yard work, I do all of this, all of that, all of this, all of that. Then in my healing journey one day I looked at him and I said, you know what? It's not my responsibility to make sure your work clothes are clean. And I said it just that mean, just that way, just like that. I was like, it is not my responsibility to make sure your work clothes are clean.
Yeah. But
You know?
Here's the thing, Sela, it was your fault.
It was.
It was.
You
Because I...
You spoiled him. And then, down the road you say, I'm not doing what? What are you talking about? That's what you always do. What's happened to you? Have you lost your mind? You know what I mean? So it's beautiful that you said it, right? It's beautiful that you got back into your power. What is better if we can, right, is not let it get out of control in the first place, right? Because now
Yes.
it's like, who is this woman? I married the woman who was going to do everything for me, and now that person or the whole thing has changed. It's a little bit more difficult for them to accept. But, and we're really
There's a
talking.
lot more to the story.
Of
There's a little bit
course. Yeah, of
more
course.
to the story,
Really,
but yes.
really.
But you are correct in that aspect, because I did come into the relationship anytime I was asked for help. Yep, right, jump right in to save the day, and that's what I did. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, now I'm learning I need to take care of me.
Yes.
And not save the day, and just take care of me in however that looks in every single day.
See,
I don't know how that's going to look in every
me,
single day.
with me, it's I've always had told them, guess what? You're going to help out with laundry. You're going to put up laundry. You're going to help clean the kitchen if I cook dinner. You're going to
Yeah.
help around. I never actually did everything. I didn't allow me to do everything. You know, I still
Right.
try to. Don't get me wrong. I do still try to, especially
Yeah.
now that as a new mom, it's okay. I have to handle all of this, but he still handles the laundry. Dinner is probably the one question I get asked more than anything. And and I looked at him and said, "Guess what? I don't want to be asked the questions anymore. Just go and do it. Don't ask me what I want. Don't ask me what to eat. Just go and do it. Just take the handlebars and go ride."
Because and this is a woman thing too, generally, right?
Yes.
I hate to generalize, which is a good thing to say right before I generalize, right? But women thinking all freaking day, right? All the things are going to be done. Your head is in a spin. What you don't want is for the husband or partner to come home and say, "What should we do?" They're like, "Shut the fuck up. Just decide.
Just
You
do
take
something.
over,
You have
right?
eyeballs.
Tell me where we're going, right? Are we going out? We're staying in? What are we doing? Just make it easy for me. I don't want to think about a damn thing, right?" And then they might go, "Well, do you want to go here
No.
or would you here?" And you're like, and they go, "What do you think?" And you're like, just fucking decide, man. Just decide. It's for you to take the reins right now. I haven't got the energy to think about it, right? I just want to be taken somewhere. I want you to think of what we're going to do now. I really don't care what it is, right? But just so that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to plan it. I'm planning everything all day long. Planning for the kids, planning for the house, planning for the groceries, planning for everything. I need a time out here, please. So, but the problem is, you don't want to tell him that. You don't want to tell him that. You want him to figure it out for himself, right?
We want brain readers. We want mind readers, which is impossible.
Unfortunately,
I know how to voice it. That's what I say. I'm like, I throw it all out there on the table. Guess what? I want you to do it. I want you to handle it. I'm done handling it. I've handled it long enough. It's your turn. Take it.
good.
I
That's
used to
awesome.
want a mind reader. That was
That's what most men feel like. They feel like I've asked her, because we're more direct, right? I've asked her what she said nothing. Well, that doesn't mean it's nothing. It means obviously there's something wrong. Figure it out. You did something. You should be able to figure out what you did. You shouldn't need me to tell you, right? But unfortunately, we're from two different planets.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you don't have communication, then you lose everything.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Communication is a big key.
Communication and trust. Those are the two main things in relationships. Communication and trust. And don't get me wrong, I have my own personal things going on in my life right now.
You all do, right?
Yeah. We all do. But
Steven?
yeah, that was one of those moments when I looked at him and I realized, I don't know who's going to be sitting here when I'm done, when I'm finished with the healing. I don't know who's this. I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, it's a journey. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're gonna be changed.
Absolutely, I've changed a whole bunch already,
Yeah.
and I know that I'm going to be doing a whole lot more changing. But I know that I'm going to be happy,
Yeah,
and that right there is what God wants.
Is the most important thing. You taking care of you, because if you don't take care of you, you got nothing to give to everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're not filling your own cup, you can't be filling everybody else's.
Ladies,
You're only taking from yourself at that point.
Listen, you've got to take care of yourself first. Just like, when the, what is it? I use the analogy, and you do this too, right? The airplane, right? The oxygen goes out, the mask comes down. You don't go on the freaking airplane. Go, anybody need any oxygen? Listen, I'm good. I don't.
That would be me. If we want to do the analogy, that would be me.
Like,
That would be me going, do you need help? Do you need help?
Get the fucking thing in your own face quick before you're dead. Right?
Yeah.
Like they say, put it on your face before you put it on the child's. I'm going to be putting it on the child's and then putting it on my face.
Oh my God! No wonder we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And it's like, and then really making sure you don't upset anybody. You give everybody what they want, and people are saying like, "Is it okay if you're on an airplane? You're on an airplane, and people say, "Is it okay if I go outside?" Sure, honey, you go out there. You get on that wing, you dance around, and you have a good time. Just make sure you wave at me, okay? No, that's not the best thing you can get them to do, right? You got to say no. You're not doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I love it. Stephen, I would love for you to come back on. We love talking to you every single time we have the chance to.
We have a great time, don't we, ladies?
We really do.
Yes, we do.
Oh, good. But we will do it again, of course. I think we let you know because book 2 has just come out, and then of course there'll be book 3. We never talk about the damn book anyway, but that's fine. I just, come on, we have a good time. People get to know me a little bit better. And that's really what counts, right? It's not about self-promotion or any of those things. It's about, hey, people get to know me a little bit better. And then if they feel like, they might want to read the book, they get the first 3 chapters for free anyway, right? And then if they think that I might be able to help them a little bit, I give them a free consultation and we can chat. So that's all that really matters. And I really enjoy you guys. You're so vulnerable. You're so direct. You're so honest. And you know what I mean? You'll talk, like you said it earlier, Jeselle, you'll talk about anything. It's okay. You're an open book. And I feel like, and see if you guys think the same thing, but once you've started to be vulnerable, you recognize that it's a power. It's not a weakness, right? Right?
Yes, that right there. Thank you. That right there is the world changer. When I realized, because I would hold everything in, everything was so secretive with me. Everything, I was such a horrible person because I smoked meth in a bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, in all honesty, like, I beat myself up because of the pure fact that I purchased and smoked drugs. Like, only because of that. Not because I was out stealing, not because I was out doing cheating or doing any lying or anything. Just that one fact. And then realizing when I came out and when I came out and started telling people, because my addiction was, I was one of those that very, very secretive. Nobody really knew, everybody was like, really? You? And I'm like, yeah, me, But when I realized that vulnerability, because that right there is telling people that you're a drug addict, telling your family you're a drug addict, it takes some cojones.
Not easy.
And
absolutely.
And, my children actually were the best. One of them looked at me and was like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
what you have to, that's it?
Big deal,
Yeah. Like she was like, I was sitting here trying to think of where to hide a body. But that's it?
That's my sister for you.
That's funny. That is funny.
She meant it. She was there sitting there trying to think. She meant it. But because I came to the kids and I'm like, okay, there's something about me, something I really need to talk to you guys. This is very important. Did the whole thing. And then they were all like, we don't care. Like, you're still our mom. You're still the same wonderful mom that you've always been. And that just means that you have a problem. It doesn't mean that you're a problem. You have a problem. You're not the problem.
That. It's so true. You are not your problems. You know what's funny though, as I was thinking about it, what she said, that she was thinking about hiding a body, and I'm going. Here's the thing, ladies. I bet everybody has at some point.
Oh yeah,
probably.
He's been so mad at someone, I could kill them, or even imagine doing it. Right? They never did it, but they thought about it, right? And then, well, how would I get rid of the body? You know what I mean? You go down that road.
Especially when you live in a domestic violence life for 13 years, you absolutely think of things.
You do, right? Of course you do. You're a human being, right?
Yeah.
And, when you said earlier about, what you thought you did, right? What is it? You took some methamphetamine. I don't know what it was, right?
I was addicted to methamphetamines for 30 years.
Yeah.
from the time I was 12 years old. It was a
Look,
coping
look,
mechanism.
of course it is, and the same with everybody.
I hated myself for trying to survive.
And then you told
And when I
you
realized
you told someone, they went, so what? Right? And you go, I've been
Yeah.
doing this for 30 freaking years, and you go, so what? Because it really is so what, right? I stole things when I was a kid, right? And my mom found them and made me take them back.
Yeah.
It's really cool, right? And because it helped me see both sides of the story, right? You know, and you know, my mom was the greatest teacher, right? You know, you talked earlier, Stella, about seeing both sides of the story, right? So my mom was really good when I used to come home and complain about somebody. She used to get me to see this. Well, maybe you didn't realize, but they were going through this, or maybe you didn't realize that that was happening. At the moment, I'm like, no, you don't understand. They're a bad person, right? And then I thought about it later. I went, yeah, she's right. I don't know what they're going through, right? I didn't know, and so, you know, I often think about that when, you know, people get what do they call it when you're driving along, road rage, right?
Road rage.
You know, what are they going through right now in their life that would cause them to do that, right? They're obviously going through some trauma or some stress that I'm not experiencing right now. You know, let it go. Let it go. Don't become part of it, right? Just let it go. And just give a little prayer for them that they get through it and they're going to be okay.
Stephen, this has been an amazing conversation. We're like a little over an hour now. Unfortunately, we have to wrap it up. We will absolutely be putting, you have the Venus Flytrap podcast, because we didn't talk about that.
Right.
You have the Venus Flytrap, the book, and you have book 2 coming out or book 3 coming out?
Book 2's out, just came out. But there is a
okay.
book 3. But I also want to come and talk about something else with you girls. So the Venus Flytrap is the catalyst, right? It was the trauma, the toxic relationship that woke me up, right?
Yeah.
And people say I was pretty woke up before, but I wasn't, and I'll get into that. We'll talk about it, right? So that whole thing woke me up, and so I've written all these different books at different times in my life, and I've always considered all to be separate, right? But it isn't. It's a life work, and we brought it all together into a new philosophy. You're gonna love this, called Heartism, where we remind ourselves how to be a heartist.
Yeah.
That we live from our heart, which allows us to be creative. Our heart and artist becomes heartist. And we're creating this philosophy because I've never wanted to be a guru. I've never wanted to create followers, right? Because it's too much stress. Right?
I know.
What's that, right?
I hear you. We're the same way.
Right. I create a philosophy that doesn't need me. It lives on its own, right? So that I can create it and be a part of it. Me being a fellow traveler, right, along that journey, which says, these are great teaching. It's a great philosophy. I'm walking the path with you, trying to live them too. I'm not standing up and trying to say, I live this way, be like me. I'm saying, these are things that I know will work, but we got to work them. And I'm not at the end of the journey or even close any more than anybody is. But if we walk the path together, we can help each other get there.
Absolutely. I love that. It's so beautiful.
Awesome, ladies. Well, listen, I know you got to go. I'm very grateful that you had me back on. I'm always grateful to see you both. You're amazing ladies. I'm very proud of you both, especially you today, Jeselle, because you actually wrote that letter to your father, and you deserve all of the gifts that are going to come with that. And
yes,
Sela, I'm proud of you because you're going through unbelievable things that most people could never imagine right now that are threatening your life, your dignity, the quality of life you can live, but you would never know.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you for
so
that.
much.
I appreciate that. You are an amazing guest, and we're going to put down all of the things in the show notes and everything. But
Yeah.
please, we'll be reaching out to you. If you don't reach out to us, you're kind of stuck.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck with us now. So
We're family now.
Exactly. Thank you, Stephen, for coming on, and thank you for our listeners.
And if you have a story that you want to share with us, you don't need your name to for the story to be impactful on others. If you want to remain anonymous, we absolutely understand and we respect that at the same time. You can reach out to us at 12lookinthrough, THRU 34 theglass at gmail.com. You can reach out to us on all the other social media platforms that we have. But just remember that your story can make an impact and can be a lifeline for somebody else. Thank you once again for looking in through the glass.